Hello, welcome to this new BMC Helix Remedyforce webinar. My name is Jair Ramos, and today we are going to learn how to create and configure agreements. Remember that if you have any question, please put those on the chat. We'll answer those there. Let's quickly review the agenda for today. First, I'm going to give you a quick overview about agreements. Then we will check a demo how to configure and work with agreements. And then I'm going to give you some troubleshooting steps in case you are facing any issue with agreements. Let's start. An agreement is a written agreement between a customer and the service desk that defines the levels of service that are delivered to the customer by the service provider and the actions to be taken in specific circumstances. So, you can create the following type of agreements. Let's start with SLAs. These agreements are made with internal or external customers. Internal customers include the vice president of a company or the line of business manager. External customers are those customers external to the IT service providers. Both internal and external customers want information about whether the agreements are being met. They also need to know whether the service has changed over a period of time and whether any penalties are owed for poor performance. Then we have OLAs. These agreements are used to measure data and track internal processes. Last but not least, we have UCS. These agreements are used to track performance against a prearranged agreement that your service team has with an external service provider. Usually, it is a third-party vendor. So now that we learned what is an agreement and the different types of agreements that we can create, let's review a business case scenario. The Director of Support Services for Acme Corporation is concerned about the customer experience. Some users in the organization are complaining about the response and resolution time for the service requests they submit. So he would like to set some service level agreements about the response time and resolution time for all the service requests. So he requested BMC Helix Remedyforce administrator to create SLAs based on the priority of each request to make sure all the SLAs are met. An email notification should be sent to the staff member to notify if an SLA is going to be missed. Based on the business case scenario that we checked, we are going to do a quick demo. We are going to create agreements, service targets, milestone, and email templates. Also, I'm going to show you a couple of more things related to agreements so you can start using it in your org. So now let's start. Let's go to your org. Click on the Remedyforce Administration tab. Under Manage Workflow and Other Processes, click on Agreements. And as you can see here, I already have some agreements. But in this case, we're going to create a new one. Click on New. Here, if you check the drop-down menu for agreement type, you will see the 3 agreements that I mentioned at the beginning of this webinar. We have SLA, Service Level Agreements. We also have OLAs and UCS. So those are the 3 agreements that you can create under the Remedyforce Administration tab. First, we can select a service. You can click on the drop-down icon so you can see all the services that we have available in our CMDB. You can add more services if you would like. In this case, I'm going to select administration just for testing purposes, and I'll show you what does it mean by selecting a service. Then we need to select an effective from date. Basically, we need to select a time frame of the life of this SLA. So how long this SLA is going to be active for our org. So let me select a period of time here. And also we can select a schedule review. I'm gonna put it just before 1 month before it expires. Then we can select the support hours for this agreement. In this case, I'm going to select 24/7. You can add more support hours if you would like. Then I'm going to select an agreement owner. In this case, I'm going to select myself as an agreement owner. If you check we didn't select any account, it means that it will apply for all the accounts that we have. In case you want to make this SLA to only apply for specific accounts or only one account or multiple accounts, you can do it here. Let's click Save. Okay, we receive another message that we need a title because that's a required field. So let's add any title here. In this case, I'm going to put just something like SLA test. Now let's click save again. Okay, the record has been saved successfully. And now, as you can see, now we can select the service target tab. Here is where we can set up multiple service targets for our agreement. So let's click on new. In order to create your agreements and service target, you need to understand the requirements of your company. In this case, I'm just adding and putting random data, but it depends on what your company needs. Here, I'm gonna put priority 1 as service target title. You can add a description. On applies to, basically you can see the list of all the objects where you can create a service target. In this case, it's going to be for incidents. And for target type, you can see that I have resolution time and response time. In this case, based on what we saw in the business case scenario, we need to create one of each target types. So the first one, it's going to be response time. So for support hours, you can change it if you would like for this specific service target. And the target, you need to select a target. For this case, it is a priority 1. It is going to be response time. So I'm gonna put 30 minutes as response time. Priority 1 is the highest priority, so 30 minutes is okay. As I mentioned, this is just random data. You can create your SLAs based on what you need. So we can move on to the qualification tab. As you can see on the title, it is based on priority. So I'm going to select the priority field, but you can use all the fields that we have listed here. So priority equals 1. And here you can see all the list of priorities that I have. And none, because I will only use one criteria. You can use multiple conditions if you would like to make it more specific. Then the clock is going to start when it is opening, and I'm gonna pause the clock when. Here you can see all the different options that you can select for the statuses that you have. In this case, you can select more than one status, but I'm gonna select just in progress, none. Let's click add. This is going to be my only condition here. And let's click save. Okay, the record has been saved successfully. So here, this is the milestone and action tab. I'm going to show you that later. But first, I would like to create another service target for resolution time. So let's close this tab and let's save the changes that we did. So now that it has been successfully saved, let's click new. Let's add the target title. In this case, I'm gonna create another one for priority 1, but in this case, the target type is going to be resolution. And let's select resolution type. You can change the support hours if you would like, but in this case, I'm gonna leave it as 24/7, and I'm gonna select 1 day as resolution time. Then for qualification, I'm gonna select the same one I did for resolution, which is priority 1 equals, and you can add more priorities, and you can manage your priorities on the Remedyforce administration tab. You can manage your priorities there. None, add, okay, that's the only criteria right now. Then for measurement, here we have 3 different ways to measure this. We can pause the clock when. In this case, I'm gonna select waiting for customer, and I'm gonna add another criteria. I'm gonna select or add, and now I'm gonna select another status. In this case, the other one that I'm going to select is waiting for. So let's click on waiting for, none, and let's click add, and then stop clock when. status equals, in this case, okay, I already have close. I'm gonna leave it like that, just close. And now let's click save. Okay, and let's close this window, and here you can make it inactive if you would like. Let's click save. Now that we have our agreements and service target set up, let's go to the agreements tab, and here just to validate that we have our agreement SLA test. Perfect. So if you go to the Remedyforce administration tab, then home, under application settings, general application settings, we need to make sure we have the service target milestone processor turned on. Basically, it is a job that will run to execute all the milestone and actions that we have for our service target. In this case, I'm gonna put it as every 5 minutes and start milestone processor. Let's click save and okay. So now that we start the job, we should be ready to start creating our SLAs or trigger our SLAs. Let's go to Remedyforce console. Let's create a new case. Here, let's select client ID. In this case, I'm going to select myself as client. Let's select a random category. In this case, I'm going to select email. And in order to trigger our SLA, it needs to be a priority 1. So impact and urgency must be high. Okay, let me click save because I want to show you something first so you can better understand how it works. And as you can see, the SLA wasn't triggered. And let me explain you why. So if you will remember, when we create our agreement, we selected a service, which is administration. So let's click on the lookup for service and let's select administration, which is the one that we selected for our agreement. Click administration. Now click save. As you can see, the agreement has been triggered. So let's click on the icon to check all the data related to the service target related to this specific incident. You can see the state is in progress, which is correct. The clock is running. You can also check the service target type. One is related to response time and the other one for resolution time. You can check the time remaining, basically how much time do we have before the SLA is going to be missed. You have the target end date, the agreement title, and the target title. You also have the start date and the elapsed time. Basically, this is all the information that can be useful for you to check the current status of the agreement. So now let's do a quick exercise. Let's change the status to in progress. If you will remember, that is the status pause condition for response time. Let's click save and let's check the SLA status again. And as you can see, for response time, the clock is paused, which is working as designed as we put it on our agreement. Now let's change the status again to close. If you remember, the close status is the stop clock condition for both. And if we check the agreement information, you can see that the status is met. So we met the SLA on time. You can see the clock, which is stopped, and the state is completed. Okay, so it means that our SLA or job is running and everything is working as designed. Now there is something that I would like to show you related to the service field. If we go back to the agreement tab, open the agreement that we created and delete the service from here and click save. So basically it means that it is going to apply for all the service requests and incidents that we have. No matter if we select a service or not, it is going to apply. Let's refresh the page so we can see the changes. And something pretty cool about this view, as you can see, we have the due date progress. So basically it is an indicator if for this specific request the SLA was met, it is going to be missed, or if it is already missed. So now let's click new. Okay, I'm gonna make myself the client ID. I'm gonna select also any category, and remember to make this incident priority 1 in order to trigger our agreement, and do not select any service. Click save. As you can see, it is working fine no matter if we select a service or not. And remember that you can set up a similar thing related to the account field, so you can make this one available for just specific accounts. Let's go back to the agreement that we created, and something pretty cool about this is that we can click here on show supporting information, and for example, under incident we can see the list of all the incidents that apply for this specific agreement and service target. As part of the business case scenario, if you will remember, is to set some email notification to notify the staff member if an SLA is going to be missed. So let's go to the milestone and actions tab, and let's click new. Here you will identify different options that you can create under this setting. So here on the drop down menu you can see all the available options that we have. So we can send an email if a service target is already missed or if it was met. Also if a service target is going to be missed, so we can notify the staff member to take an action on the incident before he missed the SLA. So for example, in this case I'm gonna create or send an email based on the percentage of the elapsed time. I'm gonna put 10%, and under the actions you can see that we can only send an email here right now. And for the email template, we already have some templates. You can modify those templates if you need. In this case I'm gonna select the one that belongs to the elapsed time, and for the to field, if we click on this icon, it will give us a list of users that can receive this email notification. In this case I'm going to select the staff that is assigned to the incident and the agreement owner. Click OK, and as you can see, those are going to be the recipients for this email notification. Click add. Okay, and here again, you can create any action based on these available options. Click save. Click OK. Let's close this window. Let's click save. Click OK. Now let's close this window. Now let's click save again just to make sure all the general configuration was saved. Let's click again on priority 1 just to make sure it was saved. Okay, now let's close the window, and I would like to create another one for the resolution time. Let's go to milestone and actions tab, click on new, and this time I'm gonna create an email notification to notify the staff member and the agreement owner that the SLA service target was met. So I'm going to select the email template for that. On to field, I'm going to select again the staff and the agreement owner to be the recipients of this email. I'm going to click OK, add, save, and click OK. Let's close the window in the same process. Let's click save, OK, close the window, and one more time save on the general tab. Okay, and now we are ready to test these email notifications. Let's go back to the Remedyforce console and let's refresh the window just to make sure all the changes are refreshed. So now let's open any incident who has an SLA that is running, and let's change the status to close. Click save, and now let's review the agreement settings. Okay, so this is pretty interesting. As you can see, the response time was missed. If you check the lapse time, basically we missed this particular service target for 4 minutes. So the second one was met, the resolution time, because we closed the record in less than 1 day. So I would like to show you the email notification that I received saying that the SLA was met for one of the incidents. Here you can see all the available information for this template. As I already mentioned before, this is something that you can modify. You can modify the format, you can add more fields if you would like, you can delete fields if you don't need for this specific template. So if you don't know how to modify this template, let me show you how you can do that. So let's go to setup in different tab in our browser. On the quick find, let's type template, and we need to select classic email templates. So here we should be able to find the email template in order to modify it, but let me check the template name so it will be easier for us to find it. So let's go back to our agreement, open a service target, let's go to the milestone and action tab. Let me open the existing one and just let me check the email template name. Okay, incident percentage of elapsed time. So it is sorted by name. Let's go to letter I, and here should be the email template. So let's scroll down, and here is the template. Okay, so let's open it. Click edit template. So something important to say, as you can see on this email template, it is making a reference to the incident service target object. Here you will find all the fields that we saw in the email that I showed you. You can modify this template as you need. You can add more fields or delete fields if you don't want to show them. But this is the place where you can modify the templates. You can also create new templates if you would like. Just make a reference to the object that I mentioned. Another cool thing that might help you with your SLAs is reports. If we go to the reports tab and then all reports and we search by SLA, we will find a report named incidents by SLA status. If you don't have this report, which is out of the box, you can create one manually. But as you can see here, you can see the percentage of incidents that missed the SLA and also the incidents that met the SLA. You can see the list of incidents on this table, if it was met or missed. So this will help you to see which ticket didn't met the SLA. Something important that you should know is, let's go back to the agreement, close this window, click on new milestone and action. If you select the option service target warning occurs, this particular option needs to be configured on the Remedyforce administration tab. On the quick find, you can type target, select service target warnings, and you need to configure that particular setting right here in case you select that option. BMC has some troubleshooting guides that you can follow. If you go to our support central, you select the product and then you go to the troubleshooting section, you will find a lot of documents that might help you to solve the issue that you are getting. In this webinar, I'm going to show you some of the most common issues that you might have working with your SLAs. So the first one that I would like to show you is users are not receiving milestone email notifications. For example, the email that I show you that I received saying that the SLA was met. So imagine that you're not receiving that email notification. It is because the milestone processor job is not running. The solution is to start the milestone processor job under the Remedyforce administration tab. By default, it is running. Sometimes by mistake, someone can stop the job or the job is stuck during the process, so we need to restart the job manually. So now I would like to show you how you can troubleshoot this issue in your org. So let's go to the org, and under general application settings, here we are gonna stop the job and click save. So if you want to make sure the job is not running, let's go to setup. And here under setup, on the quick find, we can search for job and select scheduled jobs. Here right now you will see that only the Remedyforce utility service is running. So now let me start the job again and click save. Remember that it is set to every 5 minutes. Click OK. And now let's go back again to scheduled jobs and refresh the page. Okay, now you can see that the BMC Remedyforce milestone processor is running. You can see when it's going to be the next run, and this is a way that you can make sure the job is running in case you are not receiving email notification. This is part of the troubleshooting steps. Another common issue is that a specific SLA does not trigger. It is because the effective from and effective until dates fields are expired. The solution will be to modify the effective from and effective until fields as needed. So let me show you what I mean by this and how you can fix and troubleshoot this issue. So if your agreement stopped working and it was working before, something that you need to check is the effective until date. If it already expired, your SLA will stop working. So you need to add more time to this field. So another thing that you need to also check is if the SLA is inactive. So as you can see at the top right, there is a checkbox that says inactive. So if you check this checkbox, you will make the entire agreement inactive. So it won't be triggered even if it meets the criteria. So also here I cannot select like a date before today because we have some validation rules to prevent that. Let's click save, new, and let me just save it again just in case. And let's fill all the data, and you will see that this particular agreement won't be triggered because we make it inactive. Okay, click save, and as you can see it wasn't triggered. So you need to also make sure the agreement is active. Another thing that I would like to show you related to agreements is how you can delete them. So open any agreement, then let's go to service target, and in order to delete the service target you just need to select the service target and click on the delete icon, and it will be automatically deleted. So now if you want to delete an agreement completely, let's go back to the agreement tab and select the agreement and click delete. So this action is going to delete the agreement completely. Let me provide you some of the links that might help you to understand this topic even more. If you want to get more information about agreements, you can go to these links and get more information. As you could see in this webinar, creating and configuring an agreement is not a difficult task. In this webinar, we'll learn how to create an agreement, how we can create a service target for each agreement, how to manage the support information and how we can get there. We also learn how to copy and delete agreements. We also create service targets, milestone, and email templates. I also show you how you can modify the email template in case you need. Also, you can create new templates if you want. I hope this webinar was helpful for you in order to understand how to configure and create an agreement in Remedyforce. Remember that this webinar is going to be available in our YouTube channel. In case you have any questions, please feel free to contact technical support via web, phone, or email. And remember to follow us in all our social media communities, Facebook and Twitter. Thanks for watching this webinar about how to create and configure agreements in BMC Helix Remedyforce.